Okay, good afternoon. I hereby call the Palm Springs closed session City Council meeting of October 10th, 2024 to order. City Clerk, we do a roll call?
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Okay, City Attorney, I believe you had a comment?
Yes, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, staff was made aware of a proposal by COD relating to some ongoing closed session negotiations that the council has had. So staff would appreciate if the council is so inclined to add two late-breaking closed session items. The first is conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9 D1. City of Palm Springs versus Desert Community College District, Riverside Superior Court, CVPS 2203916, and conference with real property negotiators, Government Code Section 54956.8. The property is 119.4 acres of real property located on the northwest corner of Indian Canyon and Tramview Road. City negotiators are Scott Stiles, City Manager, Flynn Fagg, Deputy City Manager, and Jeffrey Ballinger, City Attorney. Negotiating parties are Desert Community College District. Under negotiation is price and terms, and I have a copy of this for the city clerk's record. If the council is so inclined, I'd ask that the council make a motion to add these items and make a motion supported by a supermajority, at least 4/5 of this council.
I make a motion to do so. You have a roll call vote?
Mayor Bernstein,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem DeHart,
Yes.
Councilmember Gardner,
Yes.
Councilmember Holstich,
Yes.
Councilmember Middleton. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. The next item is public testimony. This time has been set aside for members of the public to address the City Council on closed session agenda items only. The City Council welcomes public input. 2 minutes will be assigned to each speaker. You're asked to please begin your time by telling us what closed session agenda item or items you are speaking about. I did want to make a comment. We know we have a lot of speakers. I think it's about 30 of you. We have tried to schedule a lot of time for council to discuss the matter at hand in detail. So if there's any way to keep your comments short or to just let you know that you agree with somebody else before you, that would certainly give us more time to speak. But we are going to proceed, and I will start with Rabbi David Lazar, followed by Wallace Allen and Dr. Joy Zavarich.
Honorable council members and mayor, I want to begin by thanking you for listening to the people. This is the eve of Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. This is a time for listening to the suffering of all human beings. In this particular case, folks that lived here in the city. I don't know the solution, but all I ask is that you continue to, in good faith, the negotiations and reach a settlement as soon as possible. But more than anything else, I want to thank you and encourage you to listen. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Wallace Allen, followed by Dr. Joy Zavarich.
Speaking on Section 14, I'm here to support the City of Palm Springs in its effort to diminish the effects of its bigoted past and emphasize its proud commitment to a diverse, equitable, and inclusive future. The hate and bigotry required for a city to engineer a Holocaust and ignore that residents are human beings was apparently normal in 1965 Palm Springs because the California Attorney General noted the Section 14 atrocity and declared that it was not being illegal, which is to say it is legal. To ignore Holocaust and promote that residents are not human beings, that is not something for the Attorney General to be proud of, nor is protecting the blatant bigotry of the 1965 Palm Springs City Council. Your prideful 2024 Palm Springs City Council has acknowledged part of the wrong via a settlement offer that may be well-intended, but still ignores the humanity of the Section 14 survivors. Lives, human lives, were disrupted, some destroyed, dreams became nightmares, stress bombs were planted, replacing hope and esteem. Some of those stress bombs have exploded, altering lives, leading some people to drugs, some to crime, and even suicide. Others, while apparently living successful lives, are often managing terrifying memories of family torn apart. all victims of legalized, normalized racism and hate, institutional racism. I'm sure that the bigoted 1965 Palm Springs City Council members, whose policy that you are so proudly defending, would take no pride in knowing who their protectors are. It is probably impossible to make the survivors whole, but you must make them
Thank you,
feel
Mr. Allen.
that you know they are human beings. God bless you to do the right thing.
The next speaker is Dr. Joy Zavarich, followed by Pearl Devers, followed by Chris Benz.
I'm here today as a representative of the members of the Church of St. Paul in the Desert. As supporters of Section 14 survivors and descendants, we believe that if each one of you look deep within your hearts, you know that things were wrong, that harm has been done. And we know that you want to bring an end to this chapter. We believe each of you know that at this time, the history of Palm Springs has been portrayed as a city where atrocities have happened, where harm has been done against Blacks, Hispanics, and we want the story to change. You have the opportunity to change that story. We read in the LA Times, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and others that human rights violations have occurred. We don't want this to be the story, and I know you don't want this to be the story. You have the power to write a new story, one that tells the world our past was not perfect, harm has occurred, but today we stand with justice, we seek to offer reparations for past injustice, and move forward in the spirit of healing, reconciliation, and justice. This is what the newspapers should be saying about Palm Springs, and you have the power to make that happen. You have a great opportunity before you to change the direction of the history of Palm Springs. Make the right choice. Come to a resolution with Section 14 survivors and descendants. They deserve this, so do the citizens of Palm Springs. City Council, we ask you to take this opportunity to restore this city to what it really is, a place that welcomes all and believes in justice for all. We ask you to do what is right and just.
Thank you. The next speaker is Pearl Devers, followed by Chris Benz and Brian Saber.
Good afternoon. First of all, I really want to thank the council for putting this back on the calendar, back on the agenda for discussion. We're grateful that you heard the many voices. And as you could see, all of these people want to speak and they want to talk. We've cut them. We've asked them to please yield, their time, or at least cut it so that we can move forward. I hope you really take serious consideration of what all the voices that you're hearing. We're watching the public comments, and it's very clear that the supporters far outweigh the opposers to make this right. Councilmember DeHart, I really want to speak to you to let you know that there really are atrocities out there. They're on our website. You can read about them. All of these people have stories, and they're well documented. And I really hope that you do a study on racial trauma, because the trauma that we've encountered, this is what you see in some of our communities today. And so the harm is real. So our lives matter. And so when the statue was removed, it didn't take you 4 years, but you used that same report to do that. That is mentioned in there, what happened to us. So I'm just asking, why are you stalling? Please, please, please hear our cries. And these people are here to speak on behalf of Section 14. There's real harm out there. So we're not coming back, and we just want to continue to urge you to take some real thought and settle this matter now, today. We deserve it. Your city deserves it. The city that I was born in and love deserved. The lady that spoke earlier, I mean, I would love to read the new headlines in the New York Post and and the LA Times, and all of these people, even the London BBC have covered us. So we want to bring a much more beautiful story. Let's heal this. Let's get this done. I believe you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The next speaker is Chris Benz, followed by Brian Saber, and then Veronica Rogers.
Hello, City Council members, Mayor of Palm Springs. As a business owner and a former gentleman that sat right there in Mr. Bernstein's seat as a Human Rights Commissioner, I've been here for 25 years. I've watched the city go through the things that it goes through. Now we have a subject for Section 14. My question is why? Why is it so hard for people to really come together, look at what is actually going on, what has happened? You've admitted the guilt, or not your actual guilt, but there are people here that still suffer today. And we're trying to get you guys to understand that the people here really are looking to the city in a peaceful, mindful way to get you to follow through on some of the promises that the city has made. As a business owner, I've seen the differences here, but when it comes to anything outside of, I might get beat up for this, LGBT community issues, nothing exists. So Section 14 is here. They're trying to get some help. They're trying to get some understanding from the city. And my question is, why does it take so long and why is it so hard?
Thank you. The next speaker is Brian Saber, followed by Veronica Rogers, and then Gloria Gonzalez.
Hello, Council. I'm here for Section 14. My name is Brian Saber, and I'm a recent resident of Palm Springs. I stand here appalled by what I've learned to be the history of this city, but with hope we can do the right thing. As a gay Jew, I know all too well what it's like to live in a world where others try to take away my rights, my dignity, my livelihood, and my life. Many of you up there know this all too well yourselves, whether it's transphobia, misogyny, anti-Semitism, or homophobia. And yet none of us face what the black and brown communities of America faced for hundreds of years, and certainly not what our fellow citizens and residents faced in Section 14 and its demise. We in Palm Springs enslaved these people. We, through our segregationist and racist laws, forced them to live on one small patch of land. We enslaved them by paying them as little as possible to build our homes, take care of our children, and clean our houses. We took away their dignity, their rights, and their livelihoods. Then we burned down their homes. We, the residents of Palm Springs, used our tax dollars and our government resources to burn down their homes. Now, we can conduct all the studies in the world, and some might say, well, it wasn't all our fault. And we know the elephant in the room is that the tribe was somewhat responsible for what happened. Maybe they will admit that one day, and maybe they won't. But we were the ones who forced the black and brown people to live there in the first place. We're the ones who didn't pay them enough to be able to move somewhere and have a life somewhere else. We're the ones who treated them worse than we treat our pets. It's the ugly history of America right here in Palm Springs. Whether we're 100%, 80%, or 50% at fault, we've got fault. So we can continue to kick the can down the road, say it wasn't all us, and we can be the ugly racist residents that the residents of the 50s and 60s certainly were. Or we can take some ownership like other cities have, like Tulsa and Evanston, like the Germans did after annihilating half of my people, and we can do something tangible to make amends. Thank you for making the effort to give back some of what we took away.
The next speaker is Veronica Rogers, followed by Gloria Gonzalez, and then David Weiner.
Veronica Rogers for Palm Springs, Section 14. I could discuss the sadness and the losses that my family experienced back in the day. I wasn't born and raised there. I was born and raised in Banning. For that reason, our home was demolished. My family, 4 siblings older than me, all had to move to Banning where they could afford a place to live. So that's where I was raised, and my baby sister, and a brother who got sick living in Banning from the weather. But besides all that, the first thing that comes to mind to me about everything that's going on now is diversity. You know, we've come so far to be unison with our brothers and sisters, our African Americans, our Indians, all of us. And we've come so far and done so good. And then now just speaking with everybody, because I know everybody around here. I used to be married to an Agua Caliente at one time. I know a lot of people in the desert. And a lot of these people, they don't understand why we're not being taken care of. Way back then, why we had to live. You know, why my poor father, who was an alcoholic, and I never got to know him sober because they moved from one place to another, you know, broke. He had his own business here when I wasn't even born yet and had to leave. So there's a lot of damage that has been done to a lot of us. But there are a lot of people out there, you know, that are wondering which way to turn as far as being happy with one race because you didn't take care of the other race. You know, there's no, you know, we got to find the middle here. You know, we're all getting along. Let's keep it that way. You know, where's the diversity? We work together. We live together. You know, you're out there with everybody. You know, before you know it, you know, I don't know what's going to happen, but I pray to God that you do find a solution to this because that'll make living here and all of us, sisters and brothers, so close together.
Thank you. Thank you. The next speaker is Gloria Gonzalez, followed by David Weiner, and then Dieter Crawford.
Good day, Council. First, I would like to commend Christy Halstich for supporting Colleen Wallace in my hometown of Banning. Section 14, all races live together in harmony. Brown, black, white, Oriental, and Native American. They were all pulled apart, but now they are together till a wrong is put right. Stick by stick, nail by nail, house by house, a community was raised. And I would like to thank Riva Martin and Pearl Devers for all their hard work and their helpers in order to get us justice. These people have courage to come up here and patience to come up here and tell their stories, and pour their hearts out to you. Thank you. Gracias.
Thank you. The next speaker is David Weiner, followed by Dieter Crawford.
Hi there. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm going to make this really brief. You all know my involvement. You all know how I kind of came into this and how I want to stand with this part of our community. I think we've got people on both sides that want to reach a resolution, and we can find a resolution. And I hope we can do that before the next council takes over, because we're already hearing candidates, particularly, well, in the one uncontested or the one contested district, take positions on this. You all know the issue. You've been working on this for years. Please come together with the residents and the survivors of Section 14 and find a solution and a settlement that works for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Dieter Crawford.
Hello, good afternoon, council and staff. My name is Dieter Crawford. I am a descendant of Section 14. My family came here in the 1940s and settled on the Agua Caliente Indian Reservation. Just want to say thank you guys for putting this item on the agenda today. We've got a lot of survivors and descendants here in attendance and also by phone. Some of them have yielded their time. So just want to, so that way you guys can actually have time to discuss the issue. But I just want to touch on the economic opportunity that was lost with the destruction of Section 14. There were a lot of residents on Section 14 that were built with city building permits and that were destructed. We oftentimes hear that the homes were not up to code and things of that nature, but we found documents that show building permits, and the average home in Palm Springs today is worth $1.2 million. So there was a lot of wealth that was lost there, and a lot of those homes are also on tribal lease land. But there was also commercial development that was lost. There were many businesses on Section 14. There were a lot of Mexican restaurants. There were different cafes. There was businesses that people also operated out of their homes as well. So want to make sure that we're including that in any type of valuation. But as well as the religious, social, and cultural institutions that were lost as well. We had churches there on Section 14, such as First Baptist Church and New Bethel Church, that were displaced and had to relocate into the Desert Highland Gateway Estates neighborhood, and they're still in operation today. There was also social organizations such as the Mexican Colony Club that was organized a lot of different events there, and just want to make sure we're taking that into consideration. There was also a lot of mental and emotional trauma that was had as well. So thanks for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to switch to Zoom, and I'm going to, again, repeat, we have 20 Zoom speakers. So if you're willing to just say I agree with others or keep it short, we do want to make sure people are heard, but we also want to have time for council to discuss this. The first speaker is Randy Roy. Okay, next speaker is Omar Valdez. The next speaker is Vera Abner.
Randy just popped back on.
We'll go to Randy Roy then.
Yep. Randy Roy, you have 2 minutes. Randy, can you star 6 to unmute?
Okay, next speaker is Vera Abner.
She's not there.
Next speaker is LaWanda Roy.
She's not there.
Okay, next speaker is Samantha Smith-Nix. I believe they probably ceded their time to others.
She's not on.
Okay, next speaker is Jesse Balderas.
He's on.
Okay.
Jesse, you have 2 minutes. He has no audio.
Okay, we'll go to Donald Roy.
He's on. No, he's on. Donald Roy, you have 2 minutes. You can go to the next.
Okay, next speaker is Robin Brown. Is that here?
Robin is on. You have 2 minutes. Seems like we have a technical issue with IT. Like they're speaking, but we can't hear them.
Okay.
We'll have feedback from here.
The best alternative. Robin Brown, start over. Robin
Good
Brown.
afternoon. This is Robin Brown. I'm a Section 14 survivor, and we just want recognition for our parents and ourselves, my mother and father. My father would have been 101 years old, but he passed away last year. It's sad that a city like Palm Springs would not want to do the right thing. Again, a Section 14 survivor. Thank you.
Evelyn, if you want to do each one without me, it's better because I'm getting feedback.
Okay, would you like me to start over from Robert Brown from the beginning? And Randy Roy.
Hello, can you hear me? Am I being heard or no? Yes. Okay, perfect. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Randall Roy. I'm representing the Roy family as a descendant of the Section 14 on behalf of my father, Ronald Roy, and my uncle, Kenneth Roy, who are both survivors of Section 14, and they both passed away 2 years ago. Also, my granny, Wesley Mae Roy, who is a living survivor and who will be 93 years old in December. I was born in Palm Springs at Desert Hospital, graduated from COD. I became the first college graduate in my family. When I first heard of this story, which was done to my family, I was frustrated and saddened, but not surprised. I was somewhat angered, but not moved. To know that my granny's home was burned and bulldozed and they displaced her was both tragic and traumatic. But to know that my father and uncle and multiple other family members have never owned a home in their lifetimes is an even worse tragedy. As we all know, a home is your foundation, and many think of home ownership as part of the American dream. For them to be taken away and for them not to be able to recover that is a lifetime tragedy. As a member of the Roy family, we have not and will not let this hold us back. When given the opportunity, we always show up and show out at every chance we get. No matter what the city decides to do with this decision, it will not define who we are as Sections 14 descendants and survivors, but it will define who you are and what Palm Springs is as a city moving forward. You can burn and bulldoze the properties and try to bury the evidence, but you cannot take away our roots as descendants. We are the seeds that you tried to bury. And believe me when I say we're not going anywhere, and the seeds as descendants are everywhere. I ask you to do what's right and stand with us because we will not tolerate being stood over. We are not asking the city to rewrite history. We're asking you to accept the position of Section 14 proposal as a groundwork towards a future we all want to see in Palm Springs and all be proud of. In closing, you've heard this from multiple people, but I'd like to close with an ever relevant quote from Nelson Mandela. It's never too late to do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Hello.
We can hear you.
Yes, this is Jesse Balderas. Can you hear me?
Mr. Valderas, we can hear you.
Okay, is it my time to speak or? Go ahead. Can you confirm that it's my time to speak?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. My name is Jesse Balderas. I was born and raised in Palm Springs. My parents, both, my dad, in fact, he was the employee of the city of Palm Springs. He worked in the disposal department. My mother, she worked for the rich and famous as far as cleaning houses, et cetera. I want to, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to share my story. I'm going to speak to you from a real basic human experience about this human tragedy associated with the destruction of Section 14 as a survivor. As a young boy growing up in Palm Springs, you know, I did all the right things. I went to school, I worked hard, I was respectful of others, obeyed the law, and I never envisioned in my life that the color of my skin, my race, my culture would be hated or disliked by others. I never knew what racism was. I had no concept of it until, and I lived it. I saw it. I smelled it. The very eventual and shameful period of time when my family, my race, my friends, my neighbors were literally removed by threat, by fear, and by destruction of property and homes. I saw it in my parents' faces. They could not retaliate with a threat of being deported or fired from my dad's job as a city employee. Imagine the destructive images, the sounds, the smells, the human beings were witnessing firsthand as their homes were being destroyed. And make no mistake, the city government action to forcibly remove these citizens of color from Section 14 was a blatant, it was planned, it was well organized. It was overt racism by city leaders who took an oath to govern and protect our basic human rights. If I may leave you with one more personal thought, fact to consider, that this horrific and dehumanizing historical event has left Section 14 survivors and family members with a bitter and lifelong racism side effects centered on their physical and mental health. In closing, please, with all due respects, find in your hearts as city leaders to make things right with a legacy of those affected in the city
Mr.
of Palm
Balderas,
Springs.
your
Thank you.
time is up. Thank you. Johnny McKinley?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, yes. My name is Johnny McKinley, and I am a member of the Brothers of the Desert organization. And we have formed a committee within ourselves to support the Section 14 compensation movement. And we want to stay on top of this and make sure things that are rectified in the proper and correct way. And so we're here as a group and supporting this and making sure things are righted. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Malcolm Morrell? Kimberly Essie? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm actually going to yield my time for public comment for you all to have more time to speak to us. But I really wanted to just say that let Palm Springs be a city that recognizes its past, embraces its diverse culture, and stands for a model of justice and equity for our country and for the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Gloria Thompson?
Go on.
Ms. Thompson, you have 2 minutes.
Star 6 to unmute Ms. Thompson, please.
Ms. Thompson, please press star 6 to
I'm
unmute.
going to yield my time so you guys can handle our business, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shirley Tribble?
Unmute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor, the board, Section 14, and other attendees. I realize you're not directly responsible for Section 14 reasons for being here, so here, please forgive me. I'm Shirley Tribble, a survivor and a Palm Springs and Section 14 native since 1954. But since the 60s, I have no memories to visit. They are gone. I have tears. I absolutely love Palm Springs, but I'm devastated. Palm Springs, you have truly hurt me and my families grievously. You owe us more than monies. Do you understand our true loss? My parents worked every day. My dad and mom worked. And my mom actually worked for Bogart, Mayor Bogart, for a while. Please, board members, if you're procrastinating, please stop. Section 14 is actually asking for a small amount. You know in your hearts of hearts, if you could just imagine, you would go for more of everything. Please do what is right. Let us conclude this very soon. I love Palm Springs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Heidi Howard White. Okay, thank you. The next speaker is Ophelia Howard. Ms. Howard, you have 2 minutes. Press *6 to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
We can hear
Hi,
you.
my name's Ophelia. My name's Ophelia Howard. I'm a survivor. My grandmother was Ophelia Bory Crawford. And I just would like to kind of piggyback on what the others are talking about, how devastating it was for us. My grandmother worked very hard. She died there in Palm Springs at 100. My father and mother both, they worked very hard to try to overcome this tragedy, but it seems as though they never were able to overcome the tragedy. And then in the 70s, we had a horrific house fire that my mother was actually burned in. So that brought up old memories from what we experienced as children. Moving forward, my prayer is that we do the right thing. You guys do the right thing by us so that we can try to establish a better quality of living. Thank you. I'm Ophelia Howard.
Thank you. The next speaker is Mary
Heidi.
Salinas. Mary Salinas. Press *6 to unmute, please. Okay, the next speaker is Paulette Green. Paulette Green, you have 2 minutes. Press *6 to unmute.
My name is Paulette Green, and I am a survivor of Section 14. I attended school there, Francis Stevens, and graduated from Palm Springs High School. I went on to College of the Desert to get a degree in nursing. So when people say we are lazy, uneducated, and just looking for a handout, that's not true. I have worked in the nursing profession for 48 years. I was the second Black RN that was hired at Desert Hospital, and I had to threaten to report them to the NAACP to get a job. If some of you were born before 78, I may have been your nurse that delivered you in the delivery room. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm looking for what is due us. We have worked hard. My family worked hard. And when they worked, we worked because we had to help them take care of you. They did your linen from the hotels. They did your gardening. And we were all a part of that. So we're not lazy indigenous looking for a handout or uneducated. I have worked, like I said, 48 years in the nursing profession. I graduated with honors and would still be working if I hadn't retired. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Gary Grizel. Gary Grizel, you have 2 minutes. Press *6
Yeah.
to unmute. Okay.
Okay, yeah, this is Gary. I really appreciate the efforts of the city council, the mayor, and would like for you guys to really consider the offer that PS Section 14 has submitted to you, because we're looking at history here, and history, when history is written, there's always a conclusion or a resolution pretty much as to what happened, what took place after the fact, and what the current status is. We know what happened. We want our parents, our ancestors to rest in peace from this, as our hearts need to be in peace with knowing what happened and what they went through, and in the struggle it took for them to raise us in the midst of all of that and what they lived through over the years. Never really telling us truly about it because they respected Palm Springs enough not to encourage us to go in opposition. So most of them kept it to themselves, right? So we have to look at it. Put yourself in our shoes. Put yourself in the shoes of our parents and grandparents, with your parents, or even you. How would you feel if nothing is done? So history has a conclusion. History is documented. This is documented. So let's move from the past history into the new history and allow the healing to go. Allow the satisfaction to come through. Your due diligence is needed to take actions, that is to put us in the next step to satisfy properly the wrong that was done. This is what happened in history. So let's show what happens today in the current history and resolve the situation, and that everybody can go on and.
The next speaker is Ben Mayfield.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Mayfield. I'm a survivor of Section 14. And a quick message to the City Council and all members there in the chambers. A quick history on Europeans and the fact that Europeans do not play well with others. Europeans in the early 1600s came to these shores. And the Pilgrims, they helped them through the first winter. But yet, shortly after that, Indian scalps were hunted. There was approximately 60 million Native Americans in this country. Over 50 million of them, their lives were taken by the Europeans. On other shores, in Australia, the Aborigines, 14 to 20,000 Aborigines were slaughtered. Africans brought here, enslaved, lynched, and beaten, and pushed to the dark corners of America's society. We fast forward 1921 to Tulsa, Oklahoma, where 300 Black African lives were taken and their businesses burned down. Fast forward to Section 14, the behavior has never stopped. You pushed us out, you burned us out, and you displaced us. Now today, just recently listening to the debate, Haitians are now the target in Springfield, Ohio. Europeans, please start playing well with others. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers? LaWanda Roy? LaWanda Roy, are you there? Press *6 to unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just wanted to speak on behalf of today for the Section 14. Primarily, Palm Springs have disregarded the Black communities in more than one way. They always overlook us. I agree with what the young man was saying before. They always overlook us. This time, we're just asking you to play fair, be honest, and know that we help build the community of Palm Springs. I've lived there as a survivor for 66 years. My mom is 91. My dad died at 85. But all my brothers and sisters, my 10 siblings, we all came up through the Palm Springs system. And we've been overlooked all these years. We just want you to right the wrong, be considerate of what we have contributed to this community and treat us fairly. That's all I ask. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other public speakers?
I think Heidi Howard White or Shirley. We got Shirley spoke already.
Shirley
Heidi.
spoke already.
Yes, Heidi.
Heidi Howard White? No?
That's it.
Okay. There's no other public speakers? Okay, council will now adjourn to the small conference room for closed session. I'm sorry, we didn't have a speaker card, but if you'd like to speak. You did have a speaker's card. Yeah. You did? I don't have it, but yes, you can speak.
My name is Ted Barajas, and I'm a survivor of Section 14. We were asked to leave when I was a teenager, so you can imagine teenage angst and all that happening was not cool. Anyway, my family moved to Section 14 in 1925. Since then, our family contributed, and we continue to contribute to the city of Palm Springs. We're also a double Gold Star family. 2 former residents of Section 14 died serving our country and for our rights, only to have them stripped away by the Palm Springs in the 60s. By the way, the banners can be seen on Palm Canyon Drive. The survivors have been treated in an undignified manner. We lost our homes, our friends, our neighborhood, our rights, and our dignity. I ask that you restore our dignity, and we ask that you treat us how you and your family would want to be treated. Do the right thing. I want to thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? No? No one on Zoom? Okay. Now we will adjourn to the small conference room for closed session.